The Curse of Oak Island team has discovered evidence that proves people once lived on the island. Rick and Marty Lagena, along with their team, have been exploring the swamp, a triangular-shaped area that has consistently provided them with fascinating finds. The swamp is believed to hold connections to the money pit, potentially linking past excavation attempts and structures designed to conceal something of value. The team's first task was to investigate a stone walkway in the southeast corner of the swamp, which is an intentionally constructed feature. The angular placement of the stones, their alignment, and their origin suggest they were brought here for a specific purpose. Some of the rocks are similar in size and shape to those forming the famous Nolan's Cross, which is a megalithic cross discovered in 1981 by the late Fred Nolan. The team noted how some of the stones appear to come from deep underground, not the nearby beach. They speculated that these stones were likely extracted during previous excavation efforts, possibly related to the money pit, and then placed in the swamp. If this is true, it suggests the swamp might not be natural at all, but a carefully engineered feature. The team also focused on the garden shaft, an 18th century structure believed to be close to a potential treasure tunnel. As they continued their work, they uncovered more evidence that reinforced the theory of human activity in the area. A shoe fragment was found near the stone walkway, which was vegetable tanned, which used to be a common process in the 1600s and 1700s. The stitching further suggested it was hand-sewn, likely in Europe, and brought to the eyes were masters of strategy, known for their ability to hide treasures in plain sight. After their persecution in the 14th century, they scattered across Europe, and some theories suggest they ventured even further. Nova Scotia, with its remote location and rugged terrain, would have been an ideal hiding spot. Chris emphasized that the arrangement of the stones carried symbolic meaning. The cross itself was a powerful symbol for the Templars, representing their faith and mission. By embedding this symbol into the landscape of Oak Island, they ensured that their presence and secrets would be remembered. To test the theory, Rick and Marty decided to bring in Steve Guptill, their trusted surveyor. If the alignment was as precise as Chris claimed, Steve's measurements would confirm it. The team reflected on the significance of the cross, as it was a link to the past and a tangible connection to a story that had spanned centuries. While the survey continued, the team could not ignore the broader implications of Chris's work. If the Templars had indeed hidden treasures on Oak Island, it would rewrite history as they knew it. The idea that a medieval order had crossed the Atlantic and left its mark on this remote island was both thrilling and humbling. The team delved into the swamp, where they discovered a massive tree stump buried deep in the muck. This discovery led to the idea that the swamp was not a swamp, but had been forested and later manipulated into its current state. The stump showed signs of being cut with tools, possibly an axe, which opened a floodgate of theories. The absence of related logs nearby was puzzling, as it suggested someone had taken the wood to construct the wooden platforms found in the money pit decades ago. Those platforms, made of rounded logs, were discovered almost 2 centuries earlier and were thought to be part of a design to safeguard the treasure from flooding. If this stump was connected to that work, it would add a new layer to the swamp's significance. The swamp had always been a mystery in itself, with uncovered stone walkways and unusual rock formations there, suggesting significant human activity. The discovery of a second stump reinforced the idea that this was not just a natural feature, but part of a broader, deliberate design. If they could date the stump accurately, it might reveal when the swamp was created or manipulated by human hands. Rick and Gary Drayton returned to the swamp the next day, determined to investigate further. They dug deeper into the triangle-shaped area, hoping to find more evidence of human activity. Another stump was unearthed, with clean cuts that indicated tool use, but the surrounding logs were missing. This reinforced the theory that the swamp had been forested and later transformed into what it is today, possibly as part of a grander scheme to hide the treasure. One theory is that the swamp was designed to obscure entrances to tunnels or other features connected to the money pit. Another possibility is that the swamp itself was part of the Templars' or other settlers' efforts to conceal their activities on the island. The deeper the team dug, the clearer it became that this was not just a natural swamp, it was an intentional feature. After digging to a depth of 95 feet, they encountered a 7-foot-wide tunnel that seemed to lead toward what they called the baby blob. Excitement was building as the team prepared to explore the tunnel further. They uncovered wooden pieces that appeared to be part of a structure, possibly one of the wooden platforms historically associated with the money pit. When they used a crowbar to explore beneath the logs, they found what appeared to be a hollow space, suggesting that the tunnel might still be intact and could lead to something significant. The team now plans to extend the shaft and explore the tunnel more thoroughly, knowing they are closer than ever to uncovering the truth about Oak Island. The tree stumps in the swamp are particularly fascinating, as they suggest that the swamp was deliberately flooded or transformed at some point. The presence of round timbers, similar to those found on the wooden platforms, ties this find directly to the original money pit excavations.
Century. Could this coin have been used for finance by the Knights Templar? Who can say? What initially appeared to be the discovery of a small Spanish Maravedí coin may in fact be a crucial clue leading to a large amount of Knights Templar treasure concealed on Oak Island. In Circles in Wood, the 6th episode of the 4th season, Gary Drayton, along with associate producers and fellow treasure hunters Jack Begley and Alex Lagena, conduct metal detecting on land formerly owned by former slave-turned-caduceus farmer Samuel Ball. Drayton and his companions initially uncovered a piece of chain buried in the ground, but as they continued their investigation, they eventually uncovered a small copper and bronze ring. They persevered, confident that they were on the correct track, and uncovered a coin that could be hundreds of years old. Samuel Ball, one of the wealthiest residents of Oak Island, owned 36 acres of the island. Did cabbage cultivation contribute to this wealth? Or maybe Ball discovered a treasure? These discoveries could represent a minor portion of the Oak Island treasure ball. Gary Drayton, a metal detecting specialist, and Charles Burkhouse, an Oak Island historian, continue their investigation of Samuel Ball's property in Season 4, Episode 8, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, where they make a number of intriguing discoveries. The first item that Drayton and Burkhouse discover is a gentleman button, which is commonly found on 1700s clothing. They soon unearth numerous King George II coins from the 18th century, as well as a lead ingot used to create musket balls. Drayton hypothesizes that these artifacts are the remnants of a military camp, after uncovering what appears to be an engraved metal tag from the bottom of a handgun. Were these campers from the 18th century searching for forgotten wealth or abandoning it? In the 1700s, the only thing that can be said with absolute certainty is that Oak Island was extremely active. In Blood is Thicker, Episode 15 of Season 4 of The Curse of Oak Island, Gary employs a metal detector to examine the objects Rick and Marty Lagena had unearthed at the Gal 1 excavation site. They initially assume it to be a coin, but quickly realize that the word plated is engraved on it. Dr. Laurie Vanderland, an expert in antique valuation, examined this spherical object and concluded that it was most likely a gold-plated button from a 17th or 18th century British military uniform. When the Lagena brothers discover a large metal hinge with drill marks in the same location, this becomes considerably more plausible. Dr. Vanderland examined it and concluded that it was from the same time period. Even more intriguing is the fact that it was frequently used as a hinge on treasure chests. Even if it originated from a ship that used the hinge for a different purpose, it is still a very intriguing discovery because it raises the question of what lies beneath Oak Island. In Dead Man's Chest, the 2nd episode of the 5th season, Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once again discover evidence of 17th century participation on the island, which may have been caused by the military, pirates, or both. Soon after discovering a 17th century musket projectile which was used in cannons, they find what appears to be a Maravedí, which is identical to the one found in the Season 1 finale, The Find. This coin is unique because it has been cut into tiny pieces. Oak Island entered a new era when the dust subsided and the significance of the discovery became apparent. The long-held legend had finally come true, permanently altering the fate of the island. Oak Island. Specific museums, exhibits, and research facilities have emerged, revealing the island's enthralling history and incredible discovery story. The Oak Island treasure symbolized human perseverance and the ceaseless pursuit of the unknown. It served as a monument to the ability of the human spirit to solve even the most difficult challenges. The island's name would endure in the annals of exploration and treasure hunting, inspiring future generations to investigate unresolved mysteries. Remember to subscribe to the channel for additional blues from the mysterious universe. Today, Oak Island is still a fascinating destination where tourists can follow in the footsteps of the early explorers by exploring the money pit's depths and witnessing the astounding discovery that forever altered the course of human history. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. Tap the video links that appear as there is much to learn about Oak Island. Click now and we'll meet you there in a moment. The money hole was dug there. The pit, commonly known as the money pit, is supposed to contain the hidden wealth. An artificially made hole is the pit. According to folklore, when exploring the island in 1795, some young people believed to be 13 or 14 years old discovered a depression in the ground. They dug because they believed it to be a man-made pit, and as they dug, they discovered layers of wood and other objects. They tried to continue their exploration, but were thwarted by a deluge of unknown origin that flooded the pit. Following the rapid dissemination of the news of the discoveries, a flurry of international treasure hunters descended upon Oak Island in search of the hidden wealth. The first planned excavation of the money pit took place in 1803, under the leadership of a group of investors known as the Onslow Company. They were given their own money pit. The excavations had to be terminated because the parties' attempts to descend to the pit's floor were unsuccessful. The following century saw a variety of groups try to solve the island's riddles, but due to the enormous difficulties they encountered, none of them were successful. The hole was flooded, which was the most significant of these, and made additional excavation unsafe and difficult. The importance of this aspect was the greatest of all. Additionally, the pit was wired with a number of devices that, when activated, would cause the pit to fill with water and keep anybody from discovering the treasure. Despite these barriers, the excavations persisted, and the Oak Island Treasure Company was founded in 1861. The flooding that was taking place in the pit prevented this specific squad's attempts from progressing past a depth of 90 feet. As a result of the bankruptcy of the Oak Island Treasure Company in 1909, the excavations were abruptly ended at that time. Since then, a number of additional teams have tried to locate the riches that is hidden on Oak Island, but the enigma of the money pit has remained a secret. The discovery of the money pit and the initial excavations on the island both had a significant impact on the evolution of the island's history, as well as the ongoing search for treasure there. Even with the challenges and roadblocks that were encountered, this is true. Despite the various challenges and disappointments that have been encountered over the centuries-long search for riches on Oak Island, the mystery surrounding the island's location continues to fascinate people. The quest to unravel the mystery surrounding the island has recently been taken on by a number of new entities. In 2010, the Oak Island Tourism Society was founded as a group dedicated to preserving the island's history and encouraging tourism. The most notable change to have taken place in recent years is this one. The Oak Island Archaeological Society has played an important role in raising public knowledge of Oak Island and the treasure hunt, in addition to participating actively in several archaeological digs on the island. Get on the mailing list right away to learn about fresh information and surprising findings about Oak Island. The Lagena brothers will probably receive the lion's share of the treasure, it appears. First of all, the Lagena brothers' ongoing search of Oak Island is authorized by the Treasure Trove license. Licensed treasure hunters are allowed to legally keep 90% of any wealth they uncover, according to a government rule. Marty goes on to suggest that it is very likely that multiple claimants would surface and argue that they had a right to the treasure's contents if a sizable treasure were found on Oak Island. These claimants may rely on some element of their residence, their ancestry, or another factor to support their claims. There will undoubtedly be a lot of people trying to get their hands on at least some of the fabled riches, but it is impossible to say who, if anyone, will be successful. The Lagena brothers and the government would both have legitimate rights over at least some share of the treasure, making them the obvious choice for at least two recipients. However, It is impossible to predict if a situation like this would ever happen in The Curse of Oak Island. Team of researchers are shocked by my shocking revelation. For additional information, watch the video after this one.